guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I am super excited because we are starting this masterclass series that helps you deep dive into certain elements of pastry and baking and dessert making that is literally going to help your creative juices flow and make you think creatively. To start off or to kick off this masterclass series, we are starting off first with our candied nuts. We'll be making a lot of desserts using these candied nuts. Every variation will go one step further in complexity, but even so, it's going to be super easy to make. So let's get straight into this recipe. We're going to start off with our candied hazelnuts that I'm going to make using brown sugar. So here I have some light brown sugar and I'm going to add that into my saucepan. I'm going to add a tablespoon of water in here. And I'm also going to add 5 grams of butter. And this is going to be used for the other candied nuts that we'll be making. So that's all you're going to need. And now all we're going to do is start to melt all of these together, and we're going to get this to a gentle boil. As you can see, all the ingredients are now really well melted, which is exactly what we want. As you can see now, it is starting to bubble up. So I'm just going to swirl the pan around with the handle. Don't forget to preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius before you start candying the nuts. As you can see now, it's starting to bubble up really well. So now I'm going to turn the heat all the way down to low, and I'm going to add my hazelnuts. Now these are not toasted. I've just got them from the store. The reason that I've not toasted them right now is because we're going to pop them in the oven anyways, so they will toast there. Now make sure that the sugar coats the hazelnuts really well, and once it's all well coated, what you're going to do is you're going to turn the heat off. I'm going to transfer these hazelnuts onto the baking tray that is lined with parchment paper. And then you're just going to spread this out really well so that it bakes evenly. We want the hazelnuts to sort of be separate from each other. We don't want them to become clusters essentially. And as a final finishing touch, what I'm going to do is add a tiny pinch of flaked sea salt in there just to elevate the flavor of the caramel. There you go. Now what you're going to do is, our oven has been preheating at 180 degrees Celsius. So what I'll do is I'll pop this in for 5 minutes. Then I'll take it out. I'll mix the nuts around and then pop it back again for 5 minutes. So as you can see, it's been 10 minutes totally in the oven, and the nuts have gone really nice and crispy, and well, they have been candied now. You're going to let this sit at room temperature, and as it cools down, it will become even crunchier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool down on the side, and while that's happening, let's make the second variation with our candied pistachios. The entire procedure now for making the pistachio candied nuts is the exact same. Instead of brown sugar here, we're going to add castor sugar. So I'm going to just pop that in, and then into that, I'm going to add some cinnamon powder as well. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of water, and this time I will add the sea salt inside this while making the caramel itself. So just a little pinch, and then I'm going to add this 1 knob of butter, which is 5 grams. Also, all the ingredients, they've been mentioned down in the description box below, so don't forget to check that out. I'm just going to start the heat again on medium. I'm going to stir this until everything just sort of melts together and becomes one homogeneous mix. So once you start to see that it's bubbling, you're just going to start swirling the pan around so that the heat is evenly distributed. So as you can see, the bubble structure is starting to get tinier with each second that's passing. I'm going to turn the heat all the way down to low. And now I'm going to pop in my pistachios. And I'm going to give it all a good mix, making sure that the pistachios are well coated in the sugar mix. As you can see, our pistachios are coated really well. Now the rest of the steps will remain the same. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to pop this on a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper. At 180 degrees Celsius, this will go for 5 minutes. Come out of the oven after 5 minutes. You're going to take the spatula and spread it around, mix the nuts so that they're evenly heating again. And then you're going to pop it back in the oven for the next 5 minutes, and then your candied pistachios will be ready. Finally, now we're going to make our third variation, which is the candied cashew nut. Now what's special about this is here you can let your creative juices flow. So in the first two variations we used sugar. First one was light brown sugar, second was castor sugar. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use or look at sugar alternatives. There are so many options. You have maple syrup, you have pancake syrup, you have honey, and you have jaggery. There are other alternatives also. You have coconut sugar and other such sugar alternatives. So here you can get really creative and sort of think out of the box. And for me, there were all these options, but I chose to go with jaggery because I wanted to go the sort of Indianized route for this. So there's cashew, jaggery, and this time we're going to flavor it with some cardamom powder. So it's like a classic Indian mithai sort of combo. So I thought it would be really nice to make candied cashew nuts using jaggery and flavoring it with cardamom powder. So let's start making our candied cashew nuts. I'm super excited about this one because we are going completely out of the box with this. So the procedure will remain the same for this as well. You start off by adding your jaggery powder, or really well sliced jaggery. Anything works. You could use powder. I have a big mound of jaggery that I sort of chopped finely and I weighed it as per the recipe. Now into that I'm going to add some water. Then I'm going to flavor it with my cardamom powder. Again, we're going to go with the butter. And now we're going to start the heat again, and it's literally exactly the same procedure. Only difference is we've changed the flavoring and we've changed the kind of sugar that we have used for our candied cashews. And now once it starts to bubble really well like this, you're going to turn the heat down to the lowest setting, and then you're going to pop in your cashews in there. And make sure the cashews are very well coated with the melted jaggery, butter and cardamom mix. Although it's not really necessary, you can add a tiny pinch of sea salt as well. I'm going to do just that. Just a little pinch of sea salt in there. And you're just going to keep mixing it until all of the cashew nuts are coated really well with the jaggery mix. And now you're going to follow the exact same procedure, that is just popping this in the oven on a tray lined with parchment paper. You'll bake that for 5 minutes first, then take it out of the oven, just mix it around and then pop it back in the oven for another 5 minutes, and then you're going to let it cool down completely to room temperature before you transfer it to an airtight container or to your serving bowl. So guys, this is it. This was my masterclass video for candied nuts. This was super simple. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I was super excited to make this version. We'll be using these in a lot of upcoming videos and upcoming recipes. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you again in another baking video. Until then, goodbye and happy baking.